to specifically within the brain, we've got the brain, part of the brain called the hippocampus. And it's really, really affected by alcohol consumption. And the hippocampus, without diving too deep into science here, because I don't want to bore everyone, but the specifics of the hippocampus and its particular functions are to do with learning, memory, memory encoding, memory consolidation, all of these sorts of functions. And there was actually a longitudinal study I found, which was pretty confronting, and it was conducted at the University of Oxford, and it was done over 30 years. And they tracked the drinking patterns and brain health of these participants for that whole time at different periods. And there was obviously a range of alcohol consumption through that time that was reported. But those participants that had 4 or more drinks a day, and that's an average that they've given here, showed significant shrinkage compared to non-drinkers in the region of the hippocampus.
Yeah.
There was even a mild to moderate shrinkage in people who were low alcohol consumers. So what that tells me is that, again, we use the word moderation at times, I think, to let ourselves off the hook a little bit in society and say, I don't do this and I don't do this, but I'm going to do this. But I think, and I agree with the area we'll go into in terms of what are the positives, and certainly socially, and it allows us to relax and things like that. But from the perspective of impacts on the brain, whether it's a small amount, whether it's a medium amount, or whether it's a large amount, it is absolutely severely detrimental to brain health.
Yeah. Particularly in the developing brain. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of these participants were tracked from that sort of adolescent age. And I mean, we won't dive into all that other stuff because I'm sure you guys will talk about some of that as well. But in particular, that hippocampal damage was very, very significant.
Maybe this next generation are more educated.
Yeah.
Have seen the things that alcohol have done. I mean, if you think about it, like Mickey said, I was never one that could drink much at all. It doesn't sit well with me. And I often thought, why do I go out and have too many drinks and then the next day wake up feeling shithouse? If someone gave you a pill, said, take this, you're going to feel shit tomorrow. There's no way you're going to do it, are you? There are elements that come along with, like Mickey said, the camaraderie, the friendship, the social aspect. Yeah, do we actually need alcohol? And maybe this next generation are smarter than we are.
Well, if you think about this generation, what they've been exposed to, like Smitty mentioned earlier about the VB ads. When I was a boy, on the telly was always beer, even cigarette adverts. Now, as opposed to the old good VB ad, kids are seeing, all these sort of very medical-based bad effects of what alcohol can do. And you see a picture of a rotten liver or something like that. So
there's one at the moment with the ladies pouring the alcohol into it. It's like a
glass baby,
a glass baby,
fetus.
Yeah.
Oh. So there's these really effective visual sort of things being presented to kids these days to scare the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
Whereas
maybe it should. I mean, looking into it, maybe it should be worrying. I've got, there's a fair bit of stuff to say, it's bad for your brain. Like Mickey's saying, the hippocampus damages the hippocampus, damages the neocortex, which is that outer layer of your brain that's sort of looking at memories, thinking, planning, ability to regulate certain aspects.
The liver cops
the liver, yeah. The gut microbiome, man, we could.
Yeah, we'll probably talk about that in more detail later.
That's a huge one.
That's crazy.
Because if you look at what alcohol is, basically, it's a fat and water soluble, so it can get into every cell. It doesn't discriminate about the cells that it damages throughout your body. So gut, brain, it can past that blood-brain barrier.
Yep.
It gets into, your white and grey matter. It's a bit of a concern.
It sure
it's
is.
Definitely a toxin, right? So
well, it's a class 1 carcinogen.
Yeah.
So it's the most carcinogenic, equal to asbestos and radiation and all the really nasty stuff.
So there's a few different types of alcohol. One of them, or the only one that is fit for human consumption, ethyl or ethanol.
Ethanol, yep.
So that is a toxin, and then when the body breaks it down into various components to be further broken down, right? But it's goes from ethanol to acetaldehyde, which is a flat out toxin. It's actually worse than alcohol.
It's a straight up poison.
Yeah, it's a poison.
Yep.
Yeah, and your ability to clear that acetaldehyde out of your body is what develops, drunkenness, hangovers, etc. And it's really a poison-induced one state of pleasure for a little while and then pain, because you are getting rid of that poison out of your body. It's hard to find a positive other than that social aspect. And if we have that social aspect without a beer or without alcohol, do we need it?